You know that feeling when you open your bank app and instead of slamming it shut in a cold sweat, you actually smile. When you stop doing mental math just to afford a cup of coffee. When buying groceries doesn't feel like a financial gamble anymore. There is a specific number where that shift happens. And most people have no idea what it is. Financial gurus love talking about $1 million, or 6 figures, or some huge retirement number. But there is a far smaller milestone that changes everything first. That number is $20,000. My name is Elon, and I've spent years studying why some people build wealth almost effortlessly, while others stay stuck for decades. Before we talk about why 20,000 is the number, I need to correct something most people believe about wealth. Wealth does not build in a straight line. There are invisible financial barriers, thresholds, where the entire rules of the game change. Once you cross these thresholds, things that felt impossible start feeling automatic. Think of it like pushing a giant boulder up a steep hill. Getting it started is brutal. Every inch is a fight. You're sweating. You're questioning if it's even possible. But then, something shifts. The boulder reaches the top, and suddenly gravity is working with you. Everything before $20,000 is uphill. Everything after it gets easier and easier. Here is the part that surprised me most when I first discovered it. The difference that $20,000 makes is not just mathematical. The real transformation happens inside your brain. When you have no savings, your brain runs on what psychologists call survival mode. Every financial decision gets filtered through fear and scarcity. You take bad job offers because you cannot afford to say no. You stay in situations you hate because leaving feels too dangerous. When your brain is in survival mode, it literally cannot think about growth or opportunity. It's like planning a vacation while your house is on fire. Research from Vanguard shows that even $2,000 in emergency savings increases financial well-being by 21%. Now push that to $20,000, 3 to 6 months of living expenses, and you get another 13% boost on top of that. But more importantly, your brain finally has room to think about building wealth instead of just surviving. Now let's get into the math, because this is where things get genuinely exciting. Let's say you save $1,000 every single month, and you're earning an 8% annual return through a diversified index fund. Completely realistic. Your first $20,000 takes about 19 months. A year and a half of real discipline. Most people give up somewhere around month 4 or 5. Don't be most people, but here's where it gets wild. Your second $20,000 only takes 17 months, not 19. Same savings every month, same discipline, 2 full months faster because your first $20,000 is now working alongside you. By your third $20,000, the timeline shrinks even more. Your money is doing an increasing share of the heavy lifting. Once you hit $400,000 in your portfolio, you can generate an entire $20,000 in just 5 months. Almost entirely through returns alone. The first milestone feels impossible. Every milestone after gets progressively easier. That is compound interest finally kicking in. You might be wondering, do rich people have access to some secret investment world regular people can't reach? Exclusive hedge funds? Members-only money clubs? The truth is far simpler, and honestly, far more encouraging. It's just basic math working in your favor. A 10% return on $1,000 earns you $100. The exact same 10% on $20,000 earns you $2,000. Same percentage, same strategy, same risk. When you have $20,000 invested at 8%, that's $1,600 showing up every year without working a single extra hour. Money that shows up simply because your money was working for you while you slept. The investment strategy is exactly the same as what someone with $1,000 can use. Same index funds, same brokerage, same principles. The only difference is scale. And that scale turns small wins into real financial momentum. Here is what most people completely miss, and it might be the most important point in this entire video. When you save $20,000, the money itself is almost secondary. What you've actually built is something far more valuable. You've rewired your brain. Think about what it takes to save $20,000 from zero. You tracked every dollar. You said no, over and over. You resisted temptation after temptation for months, maybe years. And in doing so, you proved something enormous to yourself. You proved you control money, not the other way around. Before $20,000, a $4 coffee required mental gymnastics about whether you could afford it. After $20,000, you stop sweating the small stuff. Your priorities are solid. You've proven you can make the big sacrifices. You stop seeing threats everywhere, and you start seeing opportunities. This is what wealthy people mean when they say money goes to money. Having options creates more opportunities to make money. Let's talk about what $20,000 does to your career, because this one genuinely surprised me. When you live paycheck to paycheck, you are trapped. Your boss is a nightmare. The work is soul-crushing, but you can't leave. You can't ask for a raise. What if they fire you? You can't push back. You need them more than they need you. You are negotiating from a position of pure weakness, and everyone around you can sense it. But $20,000 changes everything. Suddenly you have what I call walking away money. You could quit tomorrow and survive for months while you find something better. You are now negotiating from strength instead of desperation. The difference is enormous. And here's what's wild. You often don't even need to use it. Just knowing it's there changes how you carry yourself. Better assignments, more recognition, more money. A positive feedback loop that accelerates over time. The more confident and successful you become at work, the faster you build wealth. It builds on itself. But here's where most people destroy everything they built. And I see this constantly. They finally reach $20,000. They feel that psychological shift. And then they spend it. A new car, because they deserved it after all that discipline. An expensive vacation. A down payment on a house they can't actually afford. Don't do this. That $20,000 is not a reward for good behavior. It is the foundation of your entire financial future. It is the seed of generational wealth. Now let's talk about cars, because this will make you laugh or cry depending on where you are right now. The average person drops $600 to $800 every month on transportation. Over 40 years, that's $400,000 or more just to move around. The moment you drive a new car off the lot, it loses 20% of its value. You're not just spending money, you're actively destroying wealth. The person in the flashy new car is stressed about money. The person in the reliable old Honda is quietly building wealth and sleeping better at night. Once you cross $20,000, your entire relationship with major purchases changes completely. You stop asking, can I afford the monthly payment? And you start asking, what is this really costing me an opportunity? That $30,000 car is not just $30,000. It's $200,000 in your investment account 20 years from now. Suddenly, driving a reliable used car doesn't feel like a sacrifice anymore. It feels like a strategic choice funding your future freedom. This mindset shift extends to every major decision: housing, education, vacations, hobbies, not in an obsessive way that drains the joy out of life, in a strategic way that ensures every dollar is intentional. When you're broke, you obsess over every tiny purchase. The $3 coffee, the name brand cereal, the premium gas. Once you have a solid foundation, you realize these micro decisions are largely irrelevant. What actually matters are the big decisions: where you live, what you drive, how much you save, where you invest. Once you start thinking this way, you often realize you didn't want half the things you thought you did. The goal was never the stuff, it was the freedom. $20,000 is not going to make you rich overnight. Let's be honest about that. But it will fundamentally change how you think about money, opportunity, work, and your future. It is the difference between surviving and actually designing your life. The first $20,000 is the hardest part. I won't pretend otherwise. But once you get there, every single milestone after that becomes progressively measurably easier. The compound effect takes over. Your money starts doing the heavy lifting. And you get your life back. Your future self, the one with options, confidence, and real choices, is counting on the decision you make right now. Start today. Save consistently. Don't touch it when you get there. Trust the process, because the math does not lie. If this changed how you see money, share it with someone who needs to hear it. If you found this helpful, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.